Send the link in the ATS. Hey, what's up, everybody? We are back with Against the Spread College Football Edition podcast. We were not here last week. We unfortunately had a hurricane kind of take everybody's power out. I think mine was out, Brennan's was out. I don't know if Rich's was, but I know producer Combs was. So it was not good for the boys. But we
Yeah.
kind of reset, and there were some crazy things that happened we didn't actually get to talk about. I'll kind of briefly go over just one of them, obviously. Georgia getting beat by Alabama. Um, Pretty big for Alabama with how they started out, 28-0. But Georgia obviously made a really good comeback in that game and made it entertaining. And had potential to win. They actually got up near the end of that game, and then Alabama just made one more play than Georgia did. So nothing you can really do in that situation. You kind of just got to eat it as a Georgia fan, and just embrace that and move on to the next. So we got a lot of stuff to talk about for this week, though. I do kind of want to go in and start off like we always do with the week 6 woes. So, these are some teams that I don't think performed how they should have, or in general, just got embarrassed. First, we're going to go with Michigan against Washington. For me, I felt like, I mean, obviously, I think Washington was favored in this game as well. So I wasn't really surprised that Michigan got beat. It was more of the fact that Washington, like Michigan's defense is their staple, right? Like that's what their team's supposed to be about. And Washington kind of carved them up a little bit. So it was kind of concerning if you're looking at that. And then also the offense. We know the offense has not been good. We know it has not produced at all. And we're big Big Ten haters over here. So that's just what we think about it. But y'all have any kind of opinions on that game?
uh, which game were we talking about? Was Michigan Washington?
Yeah, the Michigan Washington game.
No, I didn't get to really watch it, but I mean, Michigan, man, we can keep going back to it. They're one faceted. I feel like it's got to be easy to draw up a solid defensive scheme against Michigan because they're only going to throw the ball 12 times, maybe complete eight of them for solid 40 yards a game. So if you can just stop the run, you're going to beat that team. And it's gotta hurt a little bit to be a Michigan fan, but I guess you could take it as like, man, we after losing Jim Harbaugh and all those players, like just accept your national championship and move on. I think it's gonna take them a minute to kind of get back to where they were last year, but yeah, I think it's gonna be a pretty rough season for them moving forward. I'm not sure what the rest of their schedule holds, but well, yeah, it doesn't look really easy. They got a lot of ranked matchups
Yeah, it
coming
doesn't
up.
look that great. It doesn't look great for them.
So
But that's what I'm
hopefully
saying. You're
they
supposed to
can,
win these kind of games, right? You go
yeah.
into the season, you're thinking you can get some of these games, at least some of these harder ones. You're thinking you can come in here and at least pull a couple of them out.
Yeah.
And that's what everyone's trying to do, especially in the SEC and the Big Ten as well, with how many teams are coming in there and they're stacking conferences now. So all you're thinking is, hey, I can take a couple losses, like one or two. That's fine. I just need to win at least some of these hard games.
Yeah.
Michigan's
Yeah.
lost some of the games they should have won.
Yeah, and I think
Or
we
I
said
mean,
that when
with
we
the
were on
Texas, whatever. But
previously. I think Michigan just beat USC, and it's like, okay, well, if you can sustain this style of football, you could beat those worst teams that can't really hang with you. But if you're not beating
right.
like Washington with your defense, because your
Mhm.
defense is apparently either poorly, it's got to be poorly staffed because the talent they have right now is still pretty good on that defense.
Mhm.
So if you're not beating teams like Washington and they're carving you up at defense, I think that's not going to bode well for the rest of your season. Could
Yep.
be a rough stretch for Michigan coming up.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. And next game I want to talk about is the Missouri game with Texas A&M. See, I actually went into the week thinking I think Texas A&M is going to beat them. Just from what I've seen from Missouri so far, it's not like they've played anyone very difficult, and they've struggled. And obviously, like when they struggled against Vandy, I was like, I mean, I think Vandy's okay, but they're not that great. Doesn't look that good for them to struggle against them. And then obviously Vandy goes and did what they did last week, and you're like, okay, Vandy wasn't that bad, and Missouri got that win, so that's a good win on their record. I mean, at
Mhm.
least even though it's Vandy, like the name kind of fucks people up, but it's
Yeah.
but
we'll get
they're
we'll
not
get
a
to that
bad
woe in a
Yeah.
team.
second. You
Yeah,
just
but they're
got to
Yeah.
not a
announce
bad
it.
team. But with just Missouri in general, they really struggled in this game. I think they were held to like I don't quote me on this, but it was like 60 yards, like
Yep.
rushing, like pretty
68. Yeah.
bad. Yeah, like Brady Cook did not look good at all. He missed a lot of shots and like fingertips off of it. Like
Yeah.
he just barely missing. And those are the game changers. Like those change the entire game. When you barely miss those big shots that you're taking, you're not going to get a lot of them every game. So they missed, and Texas A&M did not miss. And Connor Wagman had a day as well.
Yeah.
So I know we talked a lot of shit
Want to
about
keep
Connor
his
Wagman
job, yeah.
previously, but that's the thing though. He comes in here and he's like, all right, I got shit to prove. I know I'm the better quarterback with my arm. You just let me
Yeah.
prove it. And he went in there and he did it, especially against a good Missouri. Like Missouri's defense is good, right? It's not like a pushover defense. So handling them like that was pretty impressive. But yeah, I mean, let's go into this next segment, the recap from last week. We got Bama and Vandy first. This was I know it's a hard one for Brennan.
I wish I had one of those freaking
what
red
a
clown noses to
fucking
just put
football
on me.
game. Come on.
This is what I say though. Like I was in Athens and I was watching the game like at a bar, and like I wasn't even really paying attention, and then I look up and I'm like 20-7.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, they're kind of doing that shit right now. And then, I think they went up 23-7. And I was like, damn, they're like kind of putting it on Bama right now. Bama, scored, I think 2 or 3 times in a row, made it like 21-23.
Yeah, we scored right. Yeah, we scored right before the half, made it 23-14. And then, we got the ball after half and made it 23-21.
Surprising fact. I mean, obviously, you've watched it, but like Bama never led in this game. Like Vandy led the whole time. And that's really tough to do. But one thing I kind of want to point out is I was watching film today on it, and Vandy hit every single potential shot they could have hit. Like everything they needed to hit.
They were amazing. Yeah.
They hit. They didn't miss a single time when they needed it. I think one time they missed a shot that would have helped, right? Yeah. But they hit probably about 15 of 16 on their shots that they took. And
that 4th and 1 shot will go down in history.
And 1 shot.
That'll go down in history.
But dude, like a lot of I think I saw a lot of people say like, oh, that was designed for him to straight do that off rip. No, he went through fucking 3 reads before he eventually got to that read, which is so impressive for him to go, okay, hey, look, this flank's not open, the slant's not open, that post, he's kind of getting behind him. He's kind of getting behind. Was it Malachi Moore, right? That he got behind on that one?
No, I don't think it was. No. I can't remember.
Still put it in a bucket though.
He still put it in a bucket. In that catch, I don't care.
I don't care who was covering him. Yeah, he put that ball so perfectly, dude. I don't
like there's nothing you could do there. There's nothing you could do.
Because no one thought that was coming. Like, I mean,
no. Everyone's
on 4-1, you'd think like, oh, we covered the short routes. He's going to try to scramble for this, and then he's
Vandy's been running it, really well the whole game. They've been putting it down your throat. I mean, running the option really, really well. And aggressive. So you're thinking, hey, they're going to run an option play here. They run this guy in motion, flank. They think they're going to pass it, then they run it, and it's like, oh shit, we don't really know what's going on. And it looks confused, honestly. Yeah. But what is a little concerning for Bama right now is they've been very, and I said this before the Georgia game, and Georgia really didn't take advantage of it like Vandy did, which is never thought I would say that about Vandy. But Vandy's coaching staff is really good in the fact that they took advantage of Bama playing that man cover one. They're playing one man high. And they're manning up and then playing like a double mug as well. But it was the way they game planned against this, and we're running rub routes off of it, and they were picking at the line, but throwing it behind the line of scrimmage so it wasn't illegal. Like all the shit they were doing, you're playing man coverage, right? And if you got someone flanking out of the backfield and the linebacker has to run over there to get them, and you send your receiver on a slant just to block that guy, it's open 9 times out of 10 and it's going to be an explosive play because no one's there. He can't be there. You got one safety high. Everyone's on the other side of the field. You got a linebacker that's got to come over. It's never going to happen, right? So they just game plan really well from my point of view. And watching that game in Athens, especially, and having everybody in Georgia go crazy was fun to watch. But Brennan, you got anything?
What a roller coaster of emotions for an Alabama fan to go from beating Georgia to losing to Vanderbilt. Letting Vanderbilt beat a top 5 team for the first time in their history. Now I will give credit, man. As much as the name, like you said, as much as the name Vanderbilt sounds like shit, it's like, dude, this is a different team. And Diego Pavia is pretty damn good. Me and Rich were talking about like they could easily be 5-0. I mean,
of course.
The 2 games they lost were one-play games pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, Georgia State was a bad one, but I mean, took Missouri to overtime.
That's a
I mean,
bad loss, but also like Georgia State's not a bad coach team.
yeah,
Like, you got to remember that
Right.
as
exactly.
well. Like I mean, obviously they just
Yeah.
like they're not a great team, but still, things happen. So
So, I mean, my concern with Alabama, I was talking about with Rich before we hopped on here, was like as bad as our defense is already looking right now, we don't give them any breaks because we're either 3 and out
yeah.
or we're scoring 3 plays. Like
Hmm.
there's no like I spoke on earlier this year. There's no methodical drives of where like, hey, we can choose some time off the clock. Hey, which I get we were down this whole game, so we kind of had to try to fight back and score quick.
But you weren't
But
down enough to do
yeah,
that.
exactly,
Like you
exactly. I
weren't
mean,
down enough to do what I think you saw the name
yep.
and you didn't respect it. That's what
Because
I think. I
yeah,
don't think anyone respected that name when y'all went in there
yeah.
and played them.
Because here's what differentiates teams like this. Like when you have Alabama and the size that Alabama has, yeah, Vanderbilt has some guys, they have some good athletes, but when you have just size that can overpower, look at the USF game. Yeah, they held it close and close and close until those last 8 minutes came around, and we still had the guys to rotate in and put just pure force on them, and we ran away with the game. We just
Yep.
never did that with Vandy. We only ran the ball 21 times, and we only got 84 rushing yards out of it. So it's like I know Kalen DeBoer's offense is this high flying pass offense, but like I think he still needs to remember that Alabama has lived off the run and we have the running backs to do it. So I wish he would incorporate just running down people's throats a little bit more. Because
Right.
I mean, we already hit enough deep shots, so what the run should be open. But I don't know, man. It's gonna be it might be a roller coaster. I mean, I hope obviously this is gonna wake Alabama up. I think we'll play pretty damn good this week. Luckily, we're not playing South Carolina on the road during Cocktober, but um, yeah, I mean, it's gonna be this dude. College football is crazy right now. This is like the most even year I've ever seen.
It's
Everybody's
awesome. It's
like,
the best season I've seen in
yeah,
a long time.
yeah,
2 or 3 years ago, I think 2021 was also super fun, but this season just so much parity. All the conferences are different. You're
yeah,
getting these games you never would have gotten. A lot of people said these in season games are not going to matter as much. They're mattering on like they feel like more,
yeah.
and like you're seeing a lot of parity. So it's just super exciting to see that stuff. Rich, you got anything on this before we move?
Yeah, so kind of what Beach said, it's like, you saw Alabama be able to sustain drives against Georgia, but that just went out the window. You're watching this game kind of, and you're like, I did the same thing as you, Zach. I was like, wait, that score says 20-7 Vandy. And then,
Yeah.
it got to 23-21. And I was like, all right, Bama's got this. It's about to be a runaway 56-23, game over.
Yep.
And you keep watching and you're like, what the fuck is Alabama doing? Because you never saw them have the ball. It was always
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Vandy with the ball, running it, play action here, just kind of chipping away, chipping away. And yeah, Diego Pavia is that dude.
Hmm.
He played really great. But yeah, you just didn't see Alabama sustain drives like they did against Georgia, and that is that going to be a trend that continues? I think it's still new with this DeBoer offense, so maybe it's 1 week they can play like lights out, and then the next week they can't. Still a
Yeah.
learning curve. I think as Alabama, kind of what's a little bit concerning was what you saw at the end of the game from Alabama. I mean, you had players fighting Vanderbilt players because they couldn't beat them on the field. You had
Yep.
Malachi Moore throwing his little kid tantrum, not getting off the field when the coaches told him, "Hey, come take a breathe." Like he's taking a knee, get off on the field, and he
Yeah.
was just like, "No, fuck you," just sat on the field. Like it seems like there could be some tension in that locker room. And, one more loss could just open that wound completely. And then it's, players leaving left and right at the end of the season. I think I already saw somebody's redshirting from Alabama, defensive tackle. Maybe he doesn't play too much, but he's already
I think that was
redshirting and
that's
leaving.
more playing time than anything for
Yeah.
him, and I think he was upset with the amount of playing time that he's had, and it's not like he was a really big impact player. But after a loss, it is kind of strange for you to kind of do that right after. It's like you could wait it a
Yeah,
couple days or
exactly. It
something.
seemed like an emotional
It felt like
count.
abrupt, right? Like it
Hmm.
felt like it was really abrupt. So,
So that's a really
um,
the takeaways I have from that is just, let's see how this locker room plays out. If they have one more, loss kind of like that, which is just more or less an ugly loss in Alabama. I think Alabama, even though Vandy played really well, I think Alabama more lost that game than I mean, Vandy still won
Yeah.
it, but I think Alabama had every opportunity to win that game. So,
Yeah.
a historic upset though. They had to carry that goalpost 3 miles to get to the river.
Yeah.
what a what
Dude.
a great
what
what
a
a great just like, and especially like with how awesome Nashville is, like imagine being at like Luke Bryan or something and like see like just like looking outside and being like,
Yeah.
yo, what the fuck? You're
You're
like
on the
Bachelorette
rooftop.
party hasn't
yeah,
watched
you're like
football.
Uh,
yeah, you're like not watching the game or something because you're just partying. You look off the side, you're like, is that a goalpost? Did Vandy beat Bama? What's going on? Like, I would love to hear like a story about some people talking about that.
yeah, you're
Like,
just on the rooftop
it's like,
drinking. And you
yeah, I was
look
blacked
down and
out.
you're
I
like,
look down. There's a goalpost in the middle of
It's
broad.
one of those you
yeah,
just look at your beer like, what the fuck is going on right now?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, crazy
exactly.
stuff.
So, but yeah, I mean that's crazy. But let's go to this next game. This was also a crazy game. We had Miami and Cal. College game day was there. Super fun game. Obviously, it started at like 10:30 at night,
Yeah,
so wasn't great on that. But um, Cal came out. I mean, fire. They looked like the better team, dude. Like
yeah,
all the way to the fourth quarter, 35-10. They were up 35-10. It was like, okay, Cal's beating the shit out of Miami. I don't think Miami's coming back from this. Cam Ward goes on to have the fourth quarter of the ages, 270 plus yards, accounted for 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. And that's like some people's whole days
Yeah.
usually. And this
yeah,
kid had a quarter to do that. It's kind of like what Carson Beck did in the second half of the Alabama game, right? Just had a day. Um, and that's what you want to see out of your gunslinger, right? You want to see him, make changes, make adjustments, go out there and play like, and you start playing a little bit more loose kind of when you're down that much and you have to make a comeback. You just kind of get a little bit more comfortable with throwing those balls, that you're not expecting to go that well. So I think that's what happened. And they made great coaching adjustments and they never panicked on the sidelines. It looked like they stayed calm the whole time from the coaching staff standpoint. So it was super surprising to see like how calm Mario Cristobal was. Like he didn't freak out, and usually he does have a big temper. Um, I mean, also like you're seeing Cal's averaging over 25 yards per pass in that game, like
yeah,
hitting deep shot after deep shot. So Miami secondary needs some help, obviously, or just needs some adjustments. I'm not exactly sure what defense they were running or what coverages. I didn't watch that intently. I was a little intoxicated, but I did watch the game, and it was a really fun game to watch at the end of the night. But Brennan, you got anything on this?
Dude, what's crazy about this? I'm looking here at the stats, and it's like if you read these stats, you're like, how the hell you read these stats and then come to you figure out that Cal was at one point up, what, 35-10? It's absolutely insane. I mean, Cal had only 12 first downs in the game to Miami's 30. Cal was only
Mm-hmm.
2 for 10 on first down. Miami 575 total yards to Cal's 370. I mean, just
I'd like to
37.
see how much of that is second half for Miami,
Yeah,
though.
yeah,
Like
exactly. I
how many
mean,
of those
dude,
first downs and stuff, or in
it was
like in the
yeah,
yardage, like how much is that second half stuff?
yeah. I mean, what, it was 35-10 with like 6 minutes to go in the third.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, like it was like
that's
it looked. I'm telling you, like watching the game, it was like this is boring as fuck. Like I
yeah.
was not even paying attention to it
Yeah,
because I was like, I
I
don't even want to
actually
watch
turned
this.
it off. I think after they threw that pick six, Cam Ward threw that pick six, he ran to the right and tries to throw it all the way
That was
back across
so
the field.
bad,
I was
so
As a
like,
bad.
coach, I
dude,
would have benched his ass immediately.
Bro,
yeah, I
that's
was
what I'm
Like,
like,
talking about. They're
dude,
like Mario Cristobal. They didn't even scream at him. Like Kirby
yeah,
would have fucking thrown his visor off and punched him in the fucking mouth.
yeah.
And like
yeah.
Mario Cristobal just was like, "All right, yeah, man, just can't fucking do that." And it's
Pat him
like,
on the
dude,
shoulder.
what?
To the end of the day, this kind of play is not sustainable for Miami. I mean, they've had back-to-back weeks where they should have lost.
Yeah, that's two bad
And
bad weeks
yeah,
against teams you should beat.
I mean, they got Louisville coming up. I mean, they have a relatively easy schedule moving forward. But I mean, they play Louisville next week, and then they close out. They got Georgia Tech third week from the end, and
Yeah,
then
them Yellow Jackets.
Syracuse to end. But like, I don't know if they had a little bit of tougher schedule, I'd be like they'd lose a couple, but they don't really have
See,
anybody
but the problem is that's the
tough.
thing, though, right? Like you didn't think Virginia Tech was going to give them a problem.
Yeah,
Yep.
You didn't think that Cal was going to give them a problem. They were
yeah,
double-digit favorites in both of
yeah,
those games, and now like they have some teams on that schedule that aren't like complete pushovers. Like Syracuse, not a pushover, dog. Like they got
yeah.
some games that like
Oh no, yeah,
Let me tell you,
they
Georgia
could
Tech's coming. They're
yeah. I
coming.
think
It's a
you just
night game at
can't.
Tech.
Yeah, Cam Ward
yeah,
can't make some of the throws he makes against better defenses.
exactly.
You
You
know,
have
like
to. He's got to play like his height, like the Heisman shit. I think, in my opinion, if I was a Heisman voter, I'd be like, I need to see him like the next 6 games and see what he's gonna do. Like, of
no,
course, I think he's like top 3 right now, but he could drop all the way out of like the top 10 with how those
yeah.
next 6 games go, or
Hmm.
however many games you got left. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of my standpoint on it. Rich, you have any last thoughts before we go?
Yeah, so I hit the bet of the year on this one. I just put $10 on
Yeah,
it. Miami coming back plus 900, and
Nice.
yeah, and I hit it. So I
the
won.
90. Would you have
Yeah, I
90?
won 96 off of it. So
Nice.
yeah, it was nice. It looked like Cam, like watching him, it looked like he wasn't even trying in the first half. Like he's just like slow with his progression, and then at the end of the game, it looked like his progressions just really sped up, and he kind of got to game speed. But I don't know why it took him so long to get to that point.
It looked like they were
Maybe,
running mesh routes, like a good amount of mesh routes in that first half.
yeah.
And I think it's not like he was getting confused, but he just I agree. He didn't look on his
It
game
just
in the
looks
first half.
slow. And, Cal comes out there and Mendoza played flawless in the first half. Second half, he played
Pretty bad.
terrible. Yeah.
Yeah.
California really took the foot off the gas in the second half. But yeah, I think Miami, you got two scares on you now. Either you're gonna wake up or you're just gonna keep uh, believing you're one of the best teams in the country by scraping by. Because this is not a line that you want to see if you're Miami. What were they, 14-point favorites or something like that? I think they were
Yeah.
two
Something like
touchdowns.
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
I mean,
Yeah.
it was
you
ridiculous.
want to see
No,
Miami do.
in this game it was 10, I think.
Okay, yeah,
Nah.
but you still want to see them like covering or at least doing to a team what Texas A&M did to Missouri, right? Like
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
you're turning that corner week 5, week 6, and you're really like, okay, we can win a national championship. With this, I don't. You're gonna have a couple more scares if you're Miami.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, you can't be going downhill at this point in the season. This is when you should be kind of moving
hitting your
up or
stride, yeah.
doing better,
Yeah.
hitting your stride. I mean, and don't get me wrong though. Like most teams don't hit their complete stride till like game 8 or 9.
Hmm.
But for teams that win championships, they look very consistent the whole year. Even if they might lose a game, they're still very consistent.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the year, they just fucking start climbing.
Which is the
And
scary thing
that's
for
what you're looking
Miami.
for.
It's like,
Right.
okay, does this team have to lose to wake up? Or
Right.
like, are
Exactly.
they going to drop one to wake up? And then you're looking at it like, okay, if they lose one in regular season, you go to the ACC championship, you lose another one. Are they going to throw you in?
They'll throw them in for sure. If they only have
We'll
2
see.
losses on the year, I think they throw them in for sure. But there's a lot of teams that are very good right now. Like the SEC probably has like 6 teams that could go, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
So there's just a lot of things happening, but that'll be exciting. It's great for them to come back and win, but it is not great when you look at, the year coming up. All right, let's go to Arkansas and Tennessee. This was fun. This was fun.
Yep.
Arkansas scores the last 3, scores in this game, comes out with the win, 19-14. They lose their quarterback, they lose their running back. No one thinks they're going to pull it out. I was very skeptical on it, but they had a really great defensive game plan. And you could tell they definitely got to Nico a lot and caused a lot of problems. Mostly, I think for me, I will be honest in saying I didn't watch the game completely like this game, but just looking at stats and stuff and seeing everything, like obviously Tennessee's running back had like a day and Nico struggled pretty bad. And if you become kind of one-dimensional, and if a team can make you a little bit one-dimensional, it can hurt you. Obviously, when your quarterback goes down, you don't expect to come out with a win, especially when you're up. I think they were down
Freshman
like,
quarterback.
were they down
They were
14
down
to 10 or something?
4 or something like that. Yeah, they
14 to
needed a
10
touchdown.
whenever like their quarterback went down. So, you come in there and you're like, okay, well, we're not expecting to win this game. We made it a close game. That's good enough for us. Like, that's kind of how I would have been as an Arkansas fan. Like, you're playing a top 5 team and you don't really expect to win anyway. So, but they came out and they did it, dude. And it was super impressive. It's not even like they ran, like they did anything special, in my opinion. Like, I think they only averaged like 3 yards a carry. Like, they did
Yeah.
not do very well.
Backyard brawl all day in
But
this
it
game.
just was, yeah, it was just nasty. Like it was just a nasty game, and they made it tough. And that's what you have to do. You got to make these games tough and nasty, and that's what they did. They really brought it to Tennessee, and Tennessee just kind of looked like the air got pulled out of them. So, yeah, Brennan, you got anything?
Yeah, no, I mean, huge win for Arkansas. It's got to be one of their biggest wins in ages. I know from personal experience, Alabama going into Arkansas, shit, all of Nick Saban's tenure, there were a couple years where, for some reason, you would just go in and play an unranked Arkansas team in Arkansas, and they would just play you well for no reason at all.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe win 4 games on the season, but they'd play Alabama to the freaking brink. And yeah, I mean, my takeaway from this game is I don't know if it's play calling or they're trying to shy away from it, what it is, but like Nico, man, he has not been what we thought he has. Like I said, they've obviously not been taking shots down the field like they normally would. I don't know if they're trying to save stuff or what it is, but they're
Yeah.
leaning on that. They're leaning on that defense really heavy, which it's good. I mean, it is really good. They're trying to control the game.
Yeah, but does
But
that
yeah,
make you think that Hypo doesn't trust
yeah,
Nico
I
anymore, or like doesn't
guess. Yeah.
trust his weapons?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like what do you not? What is he seeing that
That no one else is. Yeah.
that changed his perspective from NC State to Oklahoma?
Yeah.
Like between that time period, it's like the game plan's been a little different, and I think
Yeah.
he understands who he can take advantage of and who he can't, and what defenses he can do that to, and what defenses he can't. But now it just seems like he's being a little bit more greedy about it. Like you
Yeah.
got, I feel like sometimes you kind of got to just let that bitch go. Like, what are you going to give up? Like you just lost to Arkansas, a team that you should have beaten. And
Yeah.
I think if you would have opened it up a little bit and let Nico do a little bit more, it's like, is he scared that he thinks he's going to hurt Nico's confidence if Nico starts making a couple mistakes? Like,
Yeah.
what's the problem? You know?
Yeah. Because, yeah, their yards per completion was 5.4 yards in this game, which is like
Not
crazy.
a. Yeah.
Like that's not for a
I mean,
Tennessee
it's pretty
offense,
just
for
awful.
a Josh Heupel offense, that's like unheard of. So I don't know. I think, and then obviously we got to talk about towards the end of the game, Nico pulling the ultimate rookie move of rolling out to the right and just not throwing the ball towards the end zone
I
and just
saw a stat
running
somewhere
out
where
of
they did
bounds.
that like
They did that
3
a couple
years
years
ago.
ago.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, they did the
Joe
same
Milton did
thing,
the
same
same
exact
thing. Yeah,
thing.
yeah. Yeah, I think it was Joe Milton that did it either last year or whatever it was. But yeah,
That's
same thing
insane.
happened. And it's like, I mean, dude, you just got to know right there. You can't,
Just chuck it.
you don't have it. Yeah, just freaking sit behind that line of
Let that
scrimmage
thing
until,
sing,
I
baby.
mean,
Come
dude,
on.
run back and forth, man. Like, don't just, if you can circle back around and run to the other sideline, like, try to find time and find a guy
We
open.
need
But you
some like Aaron Rodgers-esque
can't,
kind of shit,
yeah,
Yeah,
like
come on.
like
yeah.
turn that bitch around a little bit, make them
Yeah,
just toss it,
exactly. Let
you
somebody get
know.
open. Don't just freaking keep running and run out of bounds and screw your chances. But yeah, I mean,
Throw it to Devontae.
awesome game to watch down toward the end. Because I'll tell you this: when Arkansas Sky ran that in,
Right.
that touchdown, I was like, "What the hell are you
That's
doing?"
what I thought
I
too.
was like, waste this clock down until the last second, get on the freaking 2 yard line and kick a 10 yard, 20 yard chip shot to win this game.
Hmm.
And they ran in that touchdown. I said, "Oh fuck, man," because after
I thought it
Alabama
was too much
lost.
time. I thought it was too
Yeah,
much time.
which it was. I mean, dude, they Tennessee drove right down the field, and I was like, "Oh my God, they're gonna do this." But Arkansas held on, impressive, man, awesome win for Sam Pittman and them. I was happy to see Tennessee go down after Alabama went down, so made my
Hmm.
night a little bit better. But yeah, Tennessee right now is not looking like the team they looked like through 3 weeks of the
Yeah,
season.
yeah. And I want to talk about that, Beach, because if you contextualize Tennessee season now, right? You beat up on a bad Chattanooga team, you beat up on a bad NC State team, Kent State. So, you inflated your points per game with
Yeah.
those 3 games right there. And then
Hmm.
you go to Tennessee, Oklahoma, and
Nico
they
didn't look that
really,
impressive in that
yeah, right.
game.
Like
Like,
Yeah.
watching it back, Nico didn't look that impressive. He had one throw that they took the top off the defense, or the receiver really caught it 10 yards
Yeah.
past the line and then took it to the house. And but other than that, there were no shot plays. So with Tennessee, where are these shot plays going to come from? Are they even going to get them this year? And if so, why? Because we were told at the beginning of the year, Tennessee is going to have this high powered offense that Nico's going to lead. He's going to be a
Hmm.
beast this year. And Arkansas, he didn't take the game over. Oklahoma, I would say his receivers kind of made the plays to take the game over.
Yeah.
So we'll see. The run game's there. Their defense is good, so they always have that to lean on.
Well,
Um,
yeah. And you
but
got to think against Oklahoma too, dude. They turned the ball over on their own, what, 5 or 10 yard line, and
yeah,
Oklahoma gave it right back to them. Like Oklahoma
like
could have
three
won that
different
game
times.
too.
Oh, Oklahoma
Yeah,
fucked
yeah.
themselves.
yeah,
So
yeah. Like yeah, it was like 2 or 3 times Tennessee turned the ball over. No, next play Oklahoma turned the ball back over. So like Oklahoma could have won that game too.
Yeah. So, and then look at Arkansas season, right? They shit
Yeah,
away the Oklahoma State game.
yeah,
They played a really good game against Texas A&M. They only
yeah,
lost by 4.
yeah,
God,
Uh,
I had them in a bet too that
yeah,
game.
yeah, I remember. Yeah, so, Arkansas, there's looking to like, you shit the one game away, but other than that, they look like a pretty good SEC team,
yeah,
in my opinion. They look like they're kind of turning a corner as a program because they were kind of just waiting out there in the middle of like the
yeah, man.
loss. But
Right.
it looks like they're kind of turning a corner with what they got right now, which is cool to see.
That's why you bring
That's what
old
you want,
Bobby
though. Like, that's
Petrino
what you
back,
want.
baby.
You might, I mean, dude, they could be 5-0. Like they really
Yeah,
could.
Yeah, they could
So
be
absolutely.
5-0 as
when you
well.
have
Yeah.
a team that
Well,
could be 5-0 and you take them really lightly, it's
yeah.
like, well, you fucked yourself. Like this isn't a
Mhm.
team that you can go in here and just like beat on. Like this is not a
Another thing,
bad team.
Tennessee was also coming off a bye, so you're not
Yeah,
overlooking this
no
team.
one's overlooking them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're
No
coming
one's
off a bye.
overlooking them.
Yeah.
No one's overlooking Taylor Green. No one's
Mm.
doing that. That kid's too good. The
Yeah.
team
Yeah.
has too many weapons. You're not overlooking this team. Don't even give me that shit. You never been consistently in the top 10, besides the past couple years.
Yep.
I mean, you have been way back then, but like,
But you
dude,
still have stuff to prove,
like
right?
you got
Like,
shit to prove. You don't have time to be like, oh, we overlooked them. You
Yeah.
overlook fucking nobody right now.
Yeah.
You don't
And
deserve
they
that until you
and,
win a championship.
and they got Florida this week at home. It's like, oh yeah, we were looking ahead against Billy Napier and
Yeah. Oh,
Florida
yeah. We
Gators.
were really, really scared of
Yeah.
the DJ Lagway and
Yeah.
Graham Mertz. Like,
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah.
I mean,
So,
I will say though, I think Florida could cover against them.
dude, I'm looking at that.
That's a
I think,
big spread, dude.
uh,
But you know what? Every time I say that, we get fucked. So, all right,
yeah.
let's go into next week and run down these games real quick.
This
Texas,
is a fire
Oklahoma.
schedule.
We got a
Yeah.
triple R. Texas is negative, minus 14. In this game, I mean, that's just a lot of points to me, but um, you never really like. I never can bet on these like rivalry games, right? Because they're so difficult to bet on. Like last year, I bet on Texas and they literally got stomped. So it's like you never really know what to do. Or no, not last year. Last year was a close game, but maybe 2 years ago or something like that. But you really never know what you're going to get in this game. So super confusing for me. I think that both teams are super good. Don't love Oklahoma's offense. I think it struggles. I think it doesn't. It's not very explosive. And I think Texas is the exact opposite, right? Like their offense is super explosive. Their offense has multiple schemes they can hit you with. Oklahoma has a good defense, but is Brent Venables really going to be able to sit there and stop Texas for 4 quarters and not score above 23, 25 points? Like,
Mhm.
can Oklahoma score with them? And I just don't believe they can. And that's why the spread is 14. Brennan, you got anything on it?
Yeah, I mean, this is not going to be the game of the past. I think. I mean, I just think Texas is really, really fucking good. And obviously it is that rivalry week, Red River Showdown. I mean, one of the best rivalry games in the country, but I just don't think Oklahoma has it this year, like you said. Like, yeah, I think they might hold Texas to the fewest points they've scored this season, maybe, but can the offense keep up? I highly doubt it. I mean, big props to Hawkins Jr. for coming in, and I mean, big win over Auburn on the road. But I mean, yeah, I just think right now Texas hasn't given me a reason to think they might lose any game this season outside of Georgia, if that's even the case, because they get Georgia at home. But
Yeah,
I
that's how. I
think
mean, I
I
agree.
think I think Texas has definitely separated itself. I'm still, I mean, I think Ohio State's the other one team that I could kind of separate, but they haven't really played anybody. But we're talking about that game next. But yeah, I mean, Texas, until they give me a reason to doubt them whatsoever, I don't think they're gonna lose to a team like Oklahoma.
Yeah, I mean it's a rivalry game, so I think anything can happen. Texas has looked really good. I think they have Quinn Ewers coming back for this game. I
Yeah,
think I
I was
read
actually
that
gonna ask
somewhere.
that. I didn't even know.
Yeah, no, I think he's coming back for this game, or at least they expect him to start.
Hmm.
Um, I will say though, Oklahoma has played a little bit better of SEC competition thus far, so maybe they're a little bit more battle tested, ready to
Yeah.
go. Michael Hawkins Jr. just got, the are they coming off a bye too?
Yes, they
He just
are.
got the Auburn experience at Auburn, so he's used to the crowds, and it, it it's Caleb Williams made his name after he took the starting quarterback's position in this game. So
Yeah.
let's see how he plays. Maybe he could be the wild card that kind of tips the scales in Oklahoma's favor. But yeah, this is gonna be fun to watch.
Oh
Hmm.
yeah, very excited. Um, we got some other big ones too. Obviously, we have conference realignment, so you're going to see Oregon and Ohio State,
Oh
something
yeah.
you really would never see in past seasons, besides maybe a playoff game or a bowl game. So now we're getting this huge matchup between these two power teams. I'm super excited for this one. Um, I mean, obviously, I don't like Ohio State. And I think that the quarterback is really bad. But
He's been
just my
looking good the
opinion.
last couple of weeks.
Jeremiah Smith is good, bro. I'm telling you, this
Yeah.
boy is not good. I'm telling you, this boy is not good. Now, I don't know if Oregon's going to be the defense to stop him, but I'm just saying I don't think he's that great.
Mm.
I just don't. But this is a kind of game that you see Dylan Gabriel in, and you think, well, you've played against Texas in these big rivalry games when you were at Oklahoma. This is nothing new to you. If anything, it actually feels a little bit better because you're playing at home in this big game. You don't have to go somewhere to play it. So that's a positive, I think, for them. I think the spread's what, 3? Ohio State 3, right? Yeah.
Yep.
So Ohio State -3. Um, I don't know, man. This is a tough game for me to kind of analyze just because I think that both teams are really good. Oregon obviously looked a little weird in the first couple games. Like they still got it done, but they looked off. Um, Last 2 games they looked pretty good though, right?
Yep.
So it's like, who's going to be the team that comes out and plays really well and executes the most? I think that's the team that's going to be going to win. Although Ohio State's favored on the road, I think that Oregon could win this game. I just don't know if it's going to be enough. I don't know if they can capitalize enough to beat them. So I'm going to take Ohio State in this one.
Yeah, I agree with you on the quarterback play. I mean, both these guys have been in the league for a while, so it's not some situation where, oh, young guys going on the road, anything like
Right.
that. Um,
There's no
I just
clear outlier.
Yeah, I think the big thing to look for is, I was looking through Oregon, what were they talking about their biggest problem was in the first couple of games was that offensive line and getting in the backfield to Dylan Gabriel and like allowing sacks and not getting the run game going. Well, they haven't allowed a sack for the last 2 games, so that's shown improvement. But I think the matchup to look for is that Ohio State front seven versus that offensive line. And if they can get back to Dylan Gabriel and put pressure on him and make him create mistakes, I mean, I know Ohio State, really neither of these teams have played a big opponent yet. So this will be their biggest game yet, and definitely both their biggest games of the year. But I just think Ohio State's handled their business a little bit better than Oregon has to this point in the season.
Yeah, no, I agree for
And
sure.
I just think, and at the same time, Ohio State just has, I mean, better athletes all across the field than Oregon does. I mean, they're close, but Ohio State definitely does have those game
They have the
changers on.
edge for sure.
Yeah, they have those game changers. So I'm definitely going to take Ohio State in this one. Obviously, Oregon being at home helps, but that Ohio State defense is nasty, and they got some dudes on that offense too. So I mean, if Will Howard just has a quality game, doesn't make some dumb mistakes, I think Ohio State wins this one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
Rich.
think Ohio State's probably the only uh, hope we have of not another SEC national title. I think they're looking pretty good at this point, and I'm not falling for the Kool-Aid that Oregon's selling me yet. Um, we do that later in the season when they're
Mm-hmm.
playing for the Big Ten championship, probably. But yeah, I think this is kind of old Pac-12 teams' chance to shake off that like, oh, we can't play defense because you do have Dan Lanning. You're going up against that Ohio State, a premier team in the Big Ten. So kind of to set the identity of Oregon as okay, we can be a tough team now. Like we can stand up to the big guys in the Big Ten. Um, I think it'll be a fun game to watch, though. I like realignment. Ohio State's going to be way out of their element because they're going to be over in the Pacific Coast at this point, so
Yeah.
that could play a factor more than you think. But I guess we'll see how everybody jumps off the buses and gets ready to play some football.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think this game turns into the SEC Alabama Georgia game for the Big Ten. Like
Yeah,
these two teams matching up,
But I love
giving,
that though, right? Like you want these
yeah,
new rivalries to
oh
come
yeah,
around, and like you want these new things like Alabama Vandy, new rivalry,
yeah.
right? Like, sorry, I couldn't think of a straight face.
Took a second for that to go through my head. Kind of bounced around for a little bit, and I was like, "Wait, what the
Brennan was like, yeah, of course.
fuck?" Yeah.
But yeah, no, yeah, there's a lot of new things that are coming around, and it's super exciting. I think Texas and Georgia could be one that could come up, and Alabama Georgia is going to be one that starts becoming a team, game that you could see, almost
Hmm.
every year. So you're seeing all these new rivalries come around, and I think it's going to be fun, especially just with all the conference realignment. And there's going to be more conference realignment.
Yep.
Um, all right, let's go to Ole Miss and LSU. Ole Miss is a 3.5 point favorite in this game. Um, two top 10 or two top 15 teams right here. We have obviously Jackson Dart, and we got our boy at LSU. Cannot remember his name right now, but I love
Garrett
him.
Nussmeier.
Nussmeier, think he's so good, but the boy is rambunctious in the pocket. But yeah, so I think that with this game specifically, Ole Miss has been a really, really good team. Obviously, they lost a game a couple weeks ago to Kentucky, a team they probably shouldn't have lost to, but Kentucky's a good team. They're not a pushover team. And that's the thing we're talking about when with the SEC or right now in general with all these conferences, there's not a lot of disparity, right? A lot of these teams that are not that great are still beating these bigger teams, or these teams that are supposed to go to the national championship. So it's been really fun to see that. And LSU came back and beat South Carolina when they were down. And I think they still only have that one loss to USC. So for me, I think that their offense is super explosive. Both of these offenses are super explosive. It kind of depends on what defense can stop them the most. And that's just my opinion on this game. I think it could be a super high scoring game. But if Ole Miss can get home on Nussmeier, like I said in the USC game, if they can get home on him, he's going to struggle because he struggles under pressure. So if they can get home to him, I think that Ole Miss clears this 3.5 because I think it'll be a 2-score game. But if they can actually hold and play well against the pass rush, I think they will be able to keep this game close. I still don't know if LSU wins, but I can't make a prediction on it because I really think that there's just a couple factors that are big in this thing. Like if one thing happens, it could go this way. If another thing happens, it could go that way. So I'm torn in this one. Brendan, you got anything?
I mean, Ole Miss hasn't had a bye yet this year. LSU's coming off of a bye, playing in Death Valley, 7:30 at night, one of the craziest college football atmospheres you'll ever play in. Um, yeah, dude. I mean, yeah, like you said, two very high-powered offenses that score a lot of points, put some great drives together, two great quarterbacks. Garrett Nussmeier definitely shown out this year. A quarterback that hasn't had like this is his first starting year, and obviously he's really experienced. He's been there for a little bit, but I mean, God, I mean, yeah, like you said, I think it's going to come down to a straight up, turnover battle. Whoever wins the turnover battle in this game is probably going to take the game. But I definitely say LSU has that edge with the fact that Ole Miss is tired, man. They played 6 straight weeks. They haven't had a bye yet. They've played some good games. And LSU's coming off the bye. So they've had 2 weeks to plan for this game, get ready for it, whereas Ole Miss only gets one. So I actually think, I mean, I don't know, man. Ole Miss hasn't really, really surprised me yet. I think this will be the best offense they've seen. So I think LSU could definitely make a case to win this game.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So I think Ole Miss is kind of in back against the wall mode because if you look at their remaining schedule, they got Oklahoma, Georgia. If they drop one, 3 loss and them getting in with a Kentucky loss is going to be it. Is going to be fringe getting in the playoff if they do. So
I don't think they do.
yeah, I
I
don't
think
think
if
they
you
do with
lose
the
this game
Kentucky
right
loss.
now and you lost to Kentucky as well, it's like
And then you lose
Yeah,
to
and then a
Georgia.
Georgia loss.
yeah, and then
Yeah,
Georgia, like
Yeah.
it's questionable. So I think they're kind of in back against the wall mode. And Jackson Dart's going to have to be excellent the remaining part of the season. So yeah, I lean Ole Miss in this matchup just because I still don't think LSU has their defense figured out. Ole Miss has a stronger defense, and with the week they had last week against
their
South
defensive
Carolina.
line's just really good. Like their
Yeah,
defensive
exactly.
line's super good, and they really put a lot of work into their linebackers, their defensive line, and getting those guys ready for this season. And they played pretty well
Mhm.
overall. I think the only thing with LSU is can they stop these explosives? Like they're kind of susceptible, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't know if their defensive backs are like I just don't know how they're going to be able to keep up with everybody. And I
Mhm.
hope they do. And I hope they can keep this. Like, I would love for this game not to be high scoring and for it to be like a 17-13 game and like super defensive because it'd be super fun to see these teams like struggle offensively. I know Lane Kiffin would be pissed. Brian Kelly would be pissed. Like, that'd be fun to see.
Mhm.
So, but I don't know. I mean, I'm really conflicted on this game. I'm not even going to put a prediction out there. I think this is going to be fun, though. It's going to
Yeah,
be a
it's a
super
fun game.
fun game. Um, but that wraps us up kind of for the upcoming week. We're gonna go ahead and do some of the best bets. Anybody have anything off the rip they want to just go ahead and throw out there?
I already got both of mine. I can throw them out right now. I think
Go ahead.
we're completely even over the last 3 weeks. I think at least I am. So I like the over unders that we're doing.